Okay, sit yourself onto your left and come into a good cross-legged position so that you're sitting with balance, sitting level and with balance. So that doesn't necessarily come straight away. So just spend a moment just to really assess the way that you're sitting. Hold onto your knees and lift the heart area up towards the ceiling. Lift the abdomen up to the diaphragm to the heart area, and then consciously draw your shoulders down away from your ears. Look at the floor, look down at something that doesn't move. Focus on long, slow, deep, deliberate inhalations and exhalations. Focus on how the outside edge of the feet connects to the ground. Hold on to your knees, lift up into the chest, drawing your shoulders down away from your ears. Release your knees, bring your hands into Namaste. Press the palms firmly together, squeezing the outer elbows in to the heels of the hands, lengthening from the heels of the hands to the fingertips, lengthening from the armpits into the elbows. So bringing the hands away from the body, lengthening the elbows away from the shoulders. And with an exhalation, allow your eyes to gently close. Focus on long, slow, deep, deliberate inhalations and exhalations. Observe that the seat bones remain level. Just in them if they don't. Welcoming in the breath into the chest. Feeling how each inhalation wakes up the body just a little bit more. With an exhalation, draw your chin down to meet the chest. Lift your chest up to meet your chin. Just spend a moment to bring into your mind's eye something or someone or somewhere that brings you positive energy. Something or someone or somewhere that brings you a feeling of positive energy. Draw that feeling into the heart area, expressing gratitude, silent gratitude for having that in your life. And then bring another place, person, thing into your mind's eye that brings you positive energy. Draw that into the heart area, expressing gratitude as you do. Take another thing into your mind's eye that brings you positive energy. Drawing that energy into the heart area, expressing silent gratitude. And another, bringing into your mind's eye something, somewhere, someone that brings positive energy into your existence. Drawing that feeling of abundance into the heart area and expressing silent gratitude. Just hold on to that feeling of abundance in the heart area. Express thankfulness for having those things in your life. And then release the backs of your hands down towards your knees. Holding on to that feeling of abundance and gratitude. Connect the thumb and the index finger together. A gesture of wisdom, of physical intelligence and peacefulness that we can carry into our practice as an intention. And then gently raise your head, allow your eyes to softly open and the focus to softly come back. Just holding on to that feeling of gratitude. I think it's really important to start the day with a gratitude meditation, just giving yourself the groundedness to appreciate the things in your life that you have that are valuable and that you value. Because we live in a world where people are constantly kind of showing us what they have, and it can feel a bit disembodying. So it's good to just spend a few moments just appreciating the things in your life that bring you good energy. Because we all have them, however simple. Just to dwell in that moment of abundance is a valuable moment of the day. First thing in the morning is really valuable. Starting the day with gratitude. Release your knees, bring your hands hold onto your knees, and then lift up into the chest. Elevate the heart area upwards, just using that feeling of abundance to extend into the body, lengthening that abundance into the physical body. Draw your shoulders away from your ears. Take a deep inhalation and then turn to the right side, drawing your abdomen across, your ribs across, your shoulders, keeping your head still. As you turn, acknowledge resistance, expressing gratitude for the resistance. It's affirmation that we are alive. Observe the resistance, observe the freedom, and express gratitude. gratitude for the freedom within the body. Again, it's easy to focus on discomfort and let that be the sole focus, but actually most people have areas of freedom as well. So if we divide our attention between the two, the initial perception of resistance, discomfort changes. Come back to the center, hold onto your knees, lift up into the chest. Take a deep inhalation and then turn to the right, observing how the resistance is different. Maybe it's less, maybe it's more. Maintain that sensation of balance of observation, not just focusing on the discomfort or the resistance, but focusing on the full body's experience. And probably acknowledging that there's more freedom than resistance, even if that freedom is in the skin, in the flesh, in the fingertips, in the ears. Wherever there is freedom, acknowledge it. Express gratitude for it. Come back to the center. Come off your lift and then sit back on your heels. Come into Adho Mukha virasana, sitting back on the heels, big toes together, knees apart. Keep the seat bones in contact with your heels and then stretch yourself forwards. Spread in the palms. Don't be in a rush to bring your head down. Work to extend the spine away. Keeping the seat bones down on the heels. And then bring the forehead down onto the floor. If you lose contact between the seat bones and the heels when you bring the head down, then just allow the head to lift. Bring a block underneath your head. Again, just observe your resistance. Observe where you stretch. Be grateful for this time on the mat where we don't have to think about anything else other than the sensation of extension. Just listen to the sound of the breath. And then bring your hands underneath your shoulders, push yourself up onto your knees, just sit back on your heels for a moment. Press the shins into the floor and lift the heart area up. And then come forwards a little, turn your toes under and turn your toes under, and then just sit back on your heels, just letting the toes stretch. Press the big toe into the floor and lengthen the neck of the big toe away from the head of the big toe. Press the little toes into the floor and try and lengthen the necks of the toes. And lift up into the chest. Elevate the heart area up towards the ceiling. Breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. Raise your arms up, interlock the fingers, turn the palms. So just a toe stretching pose. And then release your arms and forwards, just stretch your toes back and sit back on your heels. Just feel how you've brought energy into the toe mounds. Lift up into the chest. Stretch your arms forwards, interlock the fingers the kind of alternative way, and then reach your arms up. Lengthen into the floor. Consciously push the shins into the ground. Press the shins into the ground, the shin bones into the shin skin, so that the thighs activate, so that the spine can elevate up to the ceiling. And then gently release. Just come forwards, turn the toes under again, and then just sit back on your heel, sit back on the toes for a moment, and lift up into the chest. Let the neck of the toes stretch from the head of the toes. Breathing in through the nose and out through the nose, sitting back on your heels. Lifting up into the chest. And then come forwards, just sit back on the tops of the feet and just feel the energy in the toes. Feel how the heads of the toes feel alive, how the necks of the toes feel alive. Come up onto your knees, have your hands as wide apart as your mat, really spread the palm, turn your toes under, and then stay on the toe mounds, have the heels really high, and then come up into dog down. Tighten the kneecaps, press the fronts of the knees through to the backs of the knees, press the fronts of the thighs through to the backs of the thighs. The more you work your legs, the more you activate your arms. To go inside the pose, observe your internal balance of action. So just keeping the heels high for the moment. Turning the legs inwards, the fronts of the legs inwards, the backs of the legs outwards, so that your heels start to separate. Lifting the shins out of the ankle sockets, lifting the kneecaps up away from the shins, lifting the thighs all the way up into the hip socket. And then stretch the heels away from the toes so that it activates your shins. Press the big toe firmly into the floor, lengthen the heels away from the toes. And gently start to bring the heels a little lower. But as soon as you discover those creases between the shins and the feet, then you've gone too far. But stretch the heels away from the toes. Keep the shins lifted, keep the kneecaps lifted, keep the thighs lifted. Keep the breath soft and deep. And then step your feet forward, come up into a standing position. Get a couple of blocks for your hands, and then bring your feet as wide apart as your mat for parsvottanasana, advisable. Have your feet so that the heels are touching the edge of the mat. Make sure that the big toes are in line with each other. Have your hands on your hips, and then hit the heels out so that they're touching the edge of the mat. So that you're using your physical intelligence to know where your feet are. Using your mat as part of the orientation. Tighten the kneecaps, turn the fronts of the thighs inwards. Have your hands on your hips. Lift the abdomen to the diaphragm, to the collarbone, wing the elbows towards each other. Keep the head lifted. And then come forwards, hinging at the hips, feeling the backs of the legs broaden. open. Bring the blocks underneath your hands, beyond fingertips. Again, just go back to that internal balance of action. Bring your weight forward so that your weight comes into your toes, and then lift the heels off the floor. So this isn't the kind of classic way of doing the pose, but it does get the legs to work. Lift the seat bones up towards the ceiling, tilt them up towards the ceiling, and then consciously stretch the heel away from the toes. Just bringing one foot down at a time, but lengthening the heel away from the toes. Keeping the seat bones lifted as you bring the heels down. And then keep lengthening the heels away from the toes so that you activate the shins, hitting the shins towards the wall behind you, and picking up the seat bones, projecting the chin and the chest forwards. Have the weight in your heels. If you can come down lower, then do, but never at the expense of extension. Keeping extension as your priority. Keeping the shins hitting back by lengthening the heels away from the toes. Projecting the chin and the chest forwards. Keeping the head lifted, head looking forwards. When you drop your head, look what happens to your back. You round the shoulder blades. I want you to suck the shoulder blades in towards the front chest. Feel where your weight is in your heels. Drawing the legs back so that your weight goes into the heels. Into the centre of the heels. And then bring your hands into your hips, bend your knees on the way up if you need to, and then come up into Tadasana. Just feel how you have woken up the body. Just lean the body forward so that your weight goes into your toes. Lift your heels slightly off the floor. And just observe the imbalance that results from bringing the heels off the floor. Press the toes into the floor, press the big toes, the neck of the big toe. Stretch the neck of the big toe and the head of the big toe away from the toe mounds. Lengthen into the other toes. That's a bit more difficult. Lengthen the toes away from the toe mounds, keeping the heels lifted at this stage. Really lengthen those toes away, lengthening the neck of the toes. And then bring the heels down, hitting the shins back. Lengthening your heels away from your toes. Turning the fronts of the legs inwards, so the backs of the legs turn outwards. Hit the legs back so that your weight goes into your heels. Lengthen from the toe mounds into the heads of the toes, lengthening the neck of the toes. Stretch your arms forwards, interlock the fingers, and then raise your arms up for Baddha, Baddha. Keep the thumbs together. Squeeze the outer elbows in, but don't lose the toes. Keep the toes firmly activated. Breathing in through the nose and out through the nose, listening to the breath. Keeping the kneecaps tightened, keeping the fronts of the legs turning inwards, the tailbone tucking inwards, the belly button drawing towards the spine, the lower ribs drawing towards the spine, heart area rising up towards the ceiling. Keeping those toes lengthening away from the heels. And then release, bring your hands down, swap the interlock of the fingers, turn palms away, all the way out, and then raise your arms over your head. Breathing in through the nose and out through the nose, listening to the breath. Keep Keep stretching the toes away from the heels. Keep the weight of your body into the heels. And then gently release, come back into Tadasana, lift up into the chest. Breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. So have some blocks handy, even if you don't use them. There's some blocks on the right side. And then come back into Tadasana. Again, pick up the heel of one foot, stretch it away from the toes. Pick up the heel of the other foot, stretch it away from the toes so that you spread in the foot. Pick up the toes, press the toe mounds into the floor. So the toe mounds is this part of the foot. So it's just the underside of the foot. Lengthen the necks of the toes away from the heels. Lengthen the heads of the toes away from the toe mounds. Lift up into the chest. Bring your arms out nice and wide in towards your chest, and then step or jump the feet nice and wide. And then I want you to turn your left toes in steeply and rotate on the right foot. So at this stage, the hips probably don't feel very level. So pick up the heel of the back foot, turn it out, turn the heel all the way out. Then before you bring the heel down, I want you to stamp the neck of the big toe into the floor, stretch into the little toe side, and then bring the heel down. Straighten the legs. Turn the fronts of the legs inwards so that the backs of the legs broaden outwards so that the hips come level. Lift up into the chest. Keeping this back leg hip sweeping forwards a little from the buttock across to the hip. Keeping that back leg straight, tightening the kneecap, hinge at the hips, come forwards. Reach down, use the blocks if you need to, or reach down to the floor beyond the fingertips. So once you're down, then I want you to really spread the toe mounds of the back foot. Lengthen the heel away from that back, from the toes of that back foot. Lengthen, so it really activates the shin. So lengthen the heel away from the toes so it activates the shin. Keep the kneecap tight and keep the front of the thigh turning inwards and project the chin and the chest forwards, keeping the head lifted. Parsvottanasana. So lengthen the heel away from the toes of that back foot. Lengthen the toes away from the heel of that front foot. Breathe in through the nose. And out through the nose, listening to the breath. Projecting into the chin and the chest, lengthening from the abdomen to the diaphragm, lengthening the spine. If you can walk your hand towards the back of the leg, towards the back leg even. Keeping those hips level. Bringing the abdomen onto the thigh, bringing the chest down onto the thigh, keeping those feet stretching. So a little bit at a time, come down, keeping the head lifted until the chest is in contact with the floor, with the foot, with the leg. Keeping the spine long as you come down. Trying not to round the back too much, and then come back to the center, bend that front leg slightly, walk in with the back leg, and then come up into Tadasana. Put the blocks onto the other side if you use them, and then come back up into Tadasana. Just resetting the action of the feet. Lengthening the heels away from the toes, lengthening the toes away from the heels. Lifting up into the chest, bringing your arms out nice and wide, and then stepping or jumping, turning the right toes in, left leg and foot all the way out, swinging the hips around, turning that back heel all the way out, spreading the toe mounds, lengthening the heel of that back foot away from the toes, lengthening the toes away from the heel of that front leg. Bring the hands onto the hips so that you know that the hips are level, and then come forwards, just coming onto the blocks or reaching down to the floor, whichever feels right for you this morning. And then go back to that back foot, spread the toes, lengthen the little toes away from the big toes, press the toe mounds into the floor, lengthen into the heel, turning the fronts of the legs inward, just keeping those toes stretching from the heels, heels stretching from the toes. Breathing evenly, deeply, lengthening the spine. It might feel different on this side. I always feel a bit less able to come down on this side, but you can, that's just an observation that makes you work a little harder. Lengthen out the toes. Lengthening the heels away from the toes. Walking the hands towards the back foot a little if you can, but all the time coming forwards with a straight back. As soon as you feel like you lose that straight back, bring the hands forwards a little more. Okay, and then bend that front leg, step forwards, come into Tadasana with the feet, and then lift up into the chest, lift up into the spine. Just breathing in through the nose and out through the nose, listening to the breath. Stretch your arms forwards and up. Just bring your hands up into virasana. Lengthening still the underside of the foot, almost like your feet are going up a size in shoe size, but obviously that isn't really the case. But feel that the feet can spread across the floor. And then release. Come down onto your knees, and again just sit back on your heels, just sit back onto your feet so the tops of the feet are on the floor. So this, you might notice after all of that work in the feet, is a nice relief for your feet, a nice release for the feet. Just feel how the shins, if you press them consciously into the floor, they activate the thighs and they lengthen the spine upwards, drawing your shoulders down away from your ears. And then come forwards, turn your toes under, spread the toes, lengthen the neck of the big toe away from the pad, from the heads of the big toes, and then just sit back on your tops of your feet. Really spreading the toe mounds, lengthening the neck of the toe, so stamp the head of the big toe especially into the floor, lengthen the neck into the mound of the toe. Do the same with the other toes, pressing the heads of the toes into the floor, lengthening the necks of the toes. Just sitting back on your heels, lifting up into the chest. And then come forwards and then stretch your toes just back, just stretch your toes away, lengthening them out. Lift up into the chest and then come forwards into Adho Mukha Virasana, just feeling how the pose feels different, how it feels the same. Lengthen the arms away, press the seat bones down onto the heels. Breathe in through the nose and out through the nose, listening to the breath. Spread the palms, like we're spreading the toes, like we're spreading the feet. Think about the pads of the fingers, the heads of the fingers if you like, stretching the neck of the fingers away from the mound of the palms, away from the finger knuckles. Lengthening the heel of the hand away from the top of the heel, the finger knuckles. Okay, release your arms underneath your shoulders and then sit yourself up into just sitting back on your shins. Just observe how you've stretched out the shoulders. Just breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. Okay, get your blanket and just unfold it so it's a long blanket like that, and then put a couple of blocks on top, and then you want the blocks so they're about 6 inches away from the front end of the mat, and then sit yourself onto your block, onto the blocks, and then stretch your toes away. So we can come into malasana. Just lengthen the backs of the thighs out of the way, and then lengthen the heels away. Really spread those toes. Hopefully your feet feel quite alive. So stretch those toes away, really spread the toe mounds. The hands at the sides of the body, and then lift up into the chest. Breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. And then bend the knees and bring the heels onto the little lift underneath your with the blanket. So not everyone needs that. You can bring the heels directly down to the floor, but if you know that you struggle to keep your heels down, then bring your heels onto the block, onto the lift. The heels need to be as close to the body as you can, because if they're too far away, it's really, really hard to lift. So bring your feet as close, so you can just roll up the blanket a little bit more if you need to. Bring the body the feet in as close to the body as you can. And then lift up into the chest. Hold onto your knees, lift up into the heart area. And then raise your arms up. And then keep the back straight, come forwards, lifting the head, lifting the arms, and then just keep lengthening the front chest forwards. Drive the chest forwards. Lengthen the heels away from the toes. Turn the tailbone in a little so that you bring your heels a little closer to the floor. I always hunch my shoulders in this. So draw your shoulders away from your ears. Lengthen the neck. Breathe in through the nose and out through the nose, listening to the breath. Feet together if you can, and then gently come back onto your heels. Now if you struggle to lift in this pose, then get yourself another couple of blocks if you've got them, or just something to, a couple of big hefty books to the sides of you, and then you can always just push yourself up and then lengthen forwards. So one more time, just come back So that first stage, bring in the feet as close to the body as you can, having the feet together, knees apart, and lift the chest upwards. And then you either push yourself up into that balance, or you can reach up and then come forward. So if you use the blocks, you push yourself up first of all so that you lift off, and then you stretch back. Now turn the tailbone in. The more you turn the tailbone in, the more you lengthen the sacrum spine away from the lumbar, the easier it becomes to bring the heels down. So try and keep those heels down if you can, keeping the shoulders away from the ears. So Ian, try and draw your shoulders away from your ears. You're doing what I do, you're hunching a little in your shoulders. Okay, and then just gently release, and then stretch your legs. Stretch your legs out in front. Just lift up into the chest, elevating the heart area upwards. So there's another way to practice malasana, and I'll show you. Maybe you don't have the ideal spot in your room. You can do this against a door frame, or if you've got a post in the middle of the room, that you can use it like that. Start off by just stretching your legs away, just measuring your distance, and then you can use the blocks and everything. In fact, I'm on a bit of a slope here, so I'm just going to sit on a lift. Otherwise, I don't think I'm going to be able to lift. So then you come up, you pull the feet in towards you, and then you lift up into the chest. Then you reach forwards, find the post, and then you lift the spine. And then I'm just going to move these out of the way now. Then you lift the spine, and then you can draw yourself down, and then draw your heels away from the toes, lengthening yourself down. So if you've got like a door frame or something that you know is going to fall over, never use a bookcase or anything because it will land on you. But you can lengthen the spine. So you can use a doorway, just the door frame, and then just gently release yourself down. So that's another way of, it's a really good way of stretching out your lower back. Okay, come down onto your back into supta konasana. So we've done lots of back stretching, lots of foot stretching. Just come down into supta konasana just to let the back settle, to let the feet settle. Just observe the energy of the physical body. Just let the body relax into the ground. If there's stiffness in your hips, you can support the outer thighs with some blocks. Just observe where your energy is and distribute it. Just again going back to that feeling of gratitude. Maybe you can still identify it around the heart area. If not, then go back to just observing things in your life for which you feel grateful. then draw your knees towards each other. Pull your knees in towards your chest. Just have a little rock from top to bottom, from side to side. Just a gentle massage on the spine. And then get a folded blanket from underneath your head. Come up onto your elbows, straighten yourself out right down the centre of the mat. And then just guide your head down onto the floor, have the back of the head, back of the neck on the blanket. And then allow yourself to gently release into the floor. Filling the lungs from the bottom to the top, filling them evenly and releasing into the floor with the out breath. Spending a moment to re-acknowledge the feeling of abundance that we created in the heart area, and to spend a little time just to introduce new energy into the heart area by bringing into your mind's eye things or people or places that bring positive energy into your existence. And when you're ready, just wriggle your toes, wriggle your fingers. And bend your knees in toward your chest. Pull your knees in toward your chest. Have a little rock from side to side, from top to bottom. Just a gentle massage. And then roll onto your right side. And then stretch out the top leg. Come back up into a seated position. Just come into cross legs. Hold onto your knees. Lift up into the chest. And then turn to the right side. Observe how the pose feels different to how it felt at the beginning. Maybe if you're in half Padmasana, of course, it will feel different, but come back to the centre and then turn to the left. And then gently come back to the centre. Hold onto your knees, lift up into the chest, bring your hands back into Namastic, spreading the palms like we have been spreading the feet. Close your eyes and draw your breath in through your nose and down into the abdomen. Be conscious of the energy that you've released through your practice this morning. Good, positive, healthy flow of clean energy that the extensions and the forward bends and the twists bring to the body and to the mind. And then draw your chin forwards and down to make contact with the chest. Drawing your shoulders down away from your ears. Spend a moment to acknowledge the positive energy you've created in the heart area. And then send some of that positive energy out into the world. And then release the backs of your hands down towards your knees, palms facing upwards. Bring the tip of the index finger in contact with the tip of the thumb. A gesture of wisdom, of physical intelligence and peacefulness that we can carry with us into our day. And then raise your head, allow your eyes to softly open and your focus to softly come back. Thank you very much. So hopefully you feel like you've really stretched yourself out and given yourself some good positive energy to put into your day. So thank you very much for joining.